Picture this. It's Coachella 2026. You're in the torturous California heat, sweating in anticipation for Justin Bieber, the man you've secretly had a crush on, the man with music that contributed to a greater part of your childhood. As you spend hours setting up your tent, it slowly dawns on you that you've sold half of your assets and your firstborn child to afford to see his performance. But you shove the thought at the back of your mind as you delude yourself into thinking that the price is worth it. The moment comes, the barricade opens, you and your friends dash forward onto the stage, eagerly waiting for another 5 hours for Justin to perform. 5 hours later, there he is. You scream, you shout, eyes watering at the opportunity to finally witness the legend himself play his long awaited songs. However, within 5 minutes of his performance, all sense of excitement evaporates as you witness him simply sitting there with a laptop, laughing at memes, barely giving any energy to the hits you've come to know and love. It slowly dawns on you that Justin Bieber is barely putting any effort into his performance, and tears start slowly streaming down your face as you realize that selling your firstborn child for Coachella wasn't worth it after all. If you've seen his Weekend 1 performance, you might agree with me when I say it was incredibly lackluster. He played songs that nobody really cared about, he was waltzing around on the stage, he stared at memes for 20 minutes, he skimmed over the hits that made him, he was sitting down while performing them, the disrespect is insane, and he appeared to be low energy for some portions of the set. Needless to say, I wasn't impressed, and many people on the internet could agree with me on that front. Justin Bieber's Coachella Weekend 1 set was an incredibly polarizing moment in pop culture history, and it definitely is going down in history as one of the more controversial performances. This video will involve me analyzing Justin Bieber's Coachella set and analyzing why many people felt disappointed. Spoiler alert, I have nothing to say about Coachella Weekend 1. Nothing nice to say, at least. Before we start, I want to set the score on what Coachella actually is so that we get a better understanding of the context surrounding Justin Bieber's performance. Context is everything in this situation, and I think it's a major thing that people overlook when reviewing the performance. Coachella is a festival that thrives off of maximalism and the joy of listening to music. Although many influencers are there creating content, many of the actual festival goers say that they don't really see the influencers in person, and that it isn't as bad as it's portrayed online. People on TikTok make it seem like it's the influencer Olympics, and it may seem like that when you're consuming social media content. However, in reality, it's just a bunch of festival lovers communing together to celebrate music, making it much more enjoyable in person. Influencers make up the loud minority, while regular festival enjoyers make the quiet majority. The main logistical challenges revolve around setup and travel. Setting up the campsite or paying for an Airbnb is either very time consuming or very costly, depending on what your plans are. There's a lot of walking, getting from one place to another can be a miserable experience due to the heat, and the distance between stages and the weather itself could be nasty. The combination of heat, wind, and dust all up in your face can be unpleasant. However, many festival goers find it worth it because of the artists and the music. Historically, the festival is filled with artists bringing their A game, a performance as close to perfect as possible. The stage is intricately designed and dynamic in nature. The choreo is incredible and detailed, the costumes are carefully curated, and artists come in bringing their best hits and vocals for the audience. Throughout my research, there is a common consensus that people love the energy and the effort artists put into their Coachella performance, with the stakes being higher for a headliner. Energy and effort from artists is a key factor in what people enjoy, keep that in mind. Past headliners have set the bar extremely high in the energy and effort department. The iconic Bieberchella performance in 2018 had everyone in a ruckus for months after, and still remains a memorable cultural moment to this day. The intense choreography paired with Beyoncé's vocals created a spectacle that still gets referenced in 2026. In a similar vein, Gagachella was also a moment. The way that Gaga weaved her past and present selves together in a glamorous yet horrific opera-like setting was unmatched and very well executed. It was dark, grand, with such a creative concept. Every major news publication and social media posts surrounding Beyonce and Gaga's performance tend to be overwhelmingly positive. Recently, we had Sabrina Carpenter's wonderful performance. She managed to reference old Hollywood settings and icons and delivered choreo while looking absolutely stunning. All three performances gave high energy and high effort and were extremely well received by the audience. The only criticism that people really had were slight pacing issues here and there. If that's all that everyone has to say about your performance, it's safe to say that it was a success. Based on the positive response from these headliners, paired with what I found from people to say online during my research, we can assume that spectacle and performance is an expectation. If you cannot afford the costs of creating a visually appealing set with dynamic choreography and costumes, that's okay, as long as you bring in the energy and have at least some semblance of stage presence. People will still enjoy you as long as they see you trying. This is the standard that Justin Bieber is up against, and a lack of effort will be noticed by people in person and online. And based on what what others saw that night, both in person and on live television, it's safe to say that many were not pleased and felt that the performance was not of the caliber of Coachella worthiness. Let's dive into the various things the internet had to say. There was a point made with the expectations of male pop stars versus female pop stars. Many people were saying a woman will never get away with what Justin Bieber did, and I agree to a certain extent. Women in general, for better and for worse, have set an extremely high precedent when it comes to performance. Choreo, costumes, set design, and physicality are expected. Men, for the most part, are simply not held to the same standards, which is why a majority of male pop stars are flops and fizzle out within a couple of years. With that being said, there are many female musicians that do not have to put on an elaborate performance in order for viewers to enjoy their concerts. Adele, Lana Del Rey, and Mariah Carey have the privilege of being able to just stand there and enchant an audience. However, the reason why they are able to perform like this is because that quite literally is their brand. Adele, Lana Del Rey, and Mariah Carey did not build a brand based on movement. It is not a core part of their identity. These women have never done cartwheels on stage, and the audience would never expect them to. In addition, their music also consists of slower songs that do not warrant the level of choreography a Beyoncé catalog would have. Fans attend an Adele, Lana, and Mariah concert to hear the emotional resonance of their songs live, not to see them dip and twirl. Justin Bieber, unfortunately, did not brand himself as a stand and sing performer, nor a poetic lyricist with his songs. His music catalog consists of a variety of pop hits that warrant a high energy, highly choreographed live moment. Sorry, Beauty and the Beat, and Company are all bops that cannot be done justice sitting down. I mean, have you seen the Sorry choreography and the music video? They went off. That was clearly designed to be a song you wanted to move to. Furthermore, Justin Bieber has demonstrated in the past that he is capable of delivering a strong stage performance. If you look up any video of Justin Bieber in the past, you can clearly see him doing choreo with background dancers behind him. You can see the elaborate design sets. Even if you strip that all away, Justin Bieber does have the natural it factor that makes him such a captivating individual in the first place. If you look at this video of the song Confident, an incredibly sexy song by the way, he has no backup dancers, but the way he walks and the confidence he exudes on the stage are all incredible. He has proven in the past that he can do it, so to see an empty shell of a person sing on the Coachella stage was very disappointing. I am not comparing Justin Bieber to a standard he has never met, I am comparing him to the standard that he set himself. He was moving around the stage for a bit and then he sat down, gave a half-assed performance while looking at memes. How embarrassing. I can only imagine witnessing that live in person. For reference, 60% of people at Coachella relied on payment plans and have put themselves in less ideal situations in order to attend. There was a lot at stake here for the fans, whether you want to admit it or not. I think that many people online could appreciate Justin Bieber's performance more due to the production behind it. For the live stream, we were greeted with high quality camera footage, vivid colors, dynamic angles, and great creative direction. All these components work together to create a cinematic experience. However, the cameras can only do so much and cannot resurrect a dead performance. Even with all the magic that they attempted to do, I was raising my eyebrow when Justin Bieber started sitting down with his laptop, giving a half-assed performance to his most popular hits. I can only imagine what it's like being there in person. Many of the regular festival goers who didn't have VIP access typically have half to no visibility of the stage and rely on the screens or a combination of stage and screen to fully understand what is going on. Again, the cameras can only do so much heavy lifting. If the artist isn't giving it their all, people are going to get bored staring at the screen. With high energy, the music, the visuals, and the crowd can really carry a performance even from far back. Now, this is not to say that Justin Bieber's set was a total flop. The concept of the laptop and him singing in tandem with his younger self is interesting. It's the equivalent of a fourth wall break, let's say, him watching his old videos like any other person would. The convergence of his past self and future self was nostalgically intimate and acknowledges that he grew up with his fans. Making peace with a difficult chapter of your life is profound, and I appreciate Justin doing that, even though it was probably hard for him. Justin came from a world of child stardom, industry exploitation, and Scooter Braun as a manager. There are so many other videos out there talking about the challenges Justin has encountered. Go watch those for more information. So even though he did make hits, the conditions of which he was making them are what many would consider less than ideal and abusive. He had it rough, and I think it's important that everyone empathizes with that. However, I don't think that it justifies a lackluster performance. Coachella is not the place for quiet reflection. In high-stakes venues like this, every second counts. Time spent on memes is time not spent on a new song or a crowd moment. It just seems very random. Even if Justin Bieber wasn't dancing, he could have just stood up. Sitting down with slouched body language limits your stage presence greatly, and Justin Bieber's biggest songs deserve more than that. Now, there are a bunch of people defending him and his performance, saying that real fans would appreciate him. And yes, for every celebrity, there is a stan community out there who would accept the bare minimum. However, in my opinion, you can love an artist deeply and expect a high energy performance, especially at an event like Coachella. What I find fascinating are the lengths that people would go to justify what he did. What I notice is that they overplay the good parts and underplay the bad parts. For example, many fans said that people should not complain because Justin Bieber sounded incredible and delivered a fabulous vocal performance. Now, Justin Bieber does sound incredible live. He has one of the most emotive and charismatic voices in pop music. When he tries, you can truly feel him convey the emotions of a song. So, yes, he did sound great. However, sounding nice at Coachella is not a bonus, it is a bare minimum requirement. You want to know who else sounds great? Every other headliner at Coachella. They strutted on that stage sounding incredible and gave choreo and had multiple set designs and served face and body yada yada. Complimenting Justin Bieber's vocals is like bragging to your friends that your first date opened the door for you at a restaurant. It's a chivalrous gesture, sure, but it's the bare minimum given the situation that you're in. The second argument that people are saying online is Justin Bieber has been through a lot. And well, yes, he has been through the ringer. As I stated before, Justin Bieber has been through a variety of difficult situations that no child should ever go through. That is real and is not something that I want to throw under the rug. If anything, my empathy for him is why Weekend One hurt to watch. I want to see him win, I want to see his spark come back. Again, people spent a lot of time, money, and effort to appear for Justin Bieber. Coachella themselves spent a lot of money to afford Justin Bieber. There were lots of sacrifices made to show up specifically for Justin. So, yes, we can extend grace to Justin. However, we can also extend grace to the real people who spent a lot expecting a real performance. The third argument is actually quite irritating, and one that I saw a lot online. People were saying things along the lines of, it's his performance and he can do whatever he wants. Of course he can, but other artists on a caliber similar to Justin's have chosen to do more. In addition, anyone that spends time and money on Justin Bieber has every right to an opinion. Does being a fan come with the condition that we have to accept every single thing an artist does? Is that true fandom, or is it just lowering your standards and claiming that it's loyalty? Again, you can love an artist deeply, have their entire discography memorized, and acknowledge the mediocrity of a performance. The Justin Bieber defenders do make good points and accurate ones. However, if we compare Justin Bieber to the context of what Coachella is and what he and others have accomplished in the past, he just fails to hit the mark. I think that another thing that really lets down the audience was the element of scarcity. We have not seen Justin Bieber in years. Many of Justin Bieber's appearances in the public revolve around him crashing out, treating his wife poorly, or engaging in other weird actions. So there was that built in anticipation. Does he still have it? Can he still deliver in the music department? I am sure that those were all questions that many fans had and were excited to find out. Justin had everything to gain and he just left it on the table. Now, what Justin Bieber did at Coachella could have been a hit. The intimacy and the laptop concept would have eaten in a smaller venue built around simplicity and stillness, not the maximalist environment of Coachella. I think that the environment concept would have been good for like 1 to 2 songs. Now, I know that I shredded Justin Bieber in the past, but I will still give him the following. He did that in Coachella week 2. First of all, he appeared to be way happier. Did you see the fat smile on his face while performing Yukon? I mean, his passion for his recent music is extremely apparent, and I am so glad that the creative liberty that Justin recently gained resulted in him making music that he genuinely loves. Like, he looks so much happier playing his more recent music than his past music. Not only was his face lighting up, Miss Girl was moving around that stage. He was on every inch and crevice of that stage, using more expressive body language and creating an exciting atmosphere. I think that the highlights here were the guest stars. There was an incredibly stacked lineup. We had impromptu Billie Eilish, SZA, and then we had a Big Sean sneak. I totally forgot that Big Sean existed, and he definitely owes Justin Bieber a major thank you for giving him another 2 minutes of relevance. He also brought out Sexy Red, which is very interesting. They are a unique pairing. I would have loved to know the origins of their relationship. What do they talk about together? Like, I need to eavesdrop on a conversation. This is an example of where choreography isn't required to bring the drama. The presence of another celebrity of similar magnitude paired alongside an energetic Justin Bieber creates an amazing vibe that translates throughout the festival. The way that he managed to make Billie Eilish flustered is insane. Billie was a literal representation of every girl in the crowd had they gotten a chance to be on stage with Justin. His ability to serenade another pop star on his level is a power that not many male pop stars have. I can tell you that. I quite literally would have passed away and fainted live on that Coachella stage if I was that girl on that stage. In addition, he does crowd work. He literally goes into the crowd and engages with the audience. He makes eye contact, he sings to them, he even lets them touch him. Haley Bieber is much stronger than me because if I were Justin Bieber's husband and he was doing that in front of me, I would have aired that place out. Regardless, he looked happy to be there, the viewers looked happy to be there, and it received a significantly better response than Weekend 1. There has been a ton of people on my For You page talking about the FOMO they received on Weekend 2, and I have to agree with them. Now, was it the best performance in the world? No. If we're looking at it through an extremely critical lens, it still pales in comparison to the women who have set precedent. However, it's Justin Bieber. I admittedly still have a soft spot for him, and to this day, I am still infected with the Bieber fever disease that plagued millions of girls and gays throughout the world. Now, the stark contrast between Weekend 1 and Weekend 2 was astounding. It genuinely makes me wonder, like, what the hell happened in Weekend 1? Was he feeling ill? Was he nervous? Did the feedback on social media wake him up? There was this genuine stark difference, and I am curious as to why. Now I wonder, what are the future implications of Justin Bieber's performance on both Coachella and his career? I don't necessarily think that this would result in a decrease in Coachella attendance. If they book another great headliner, people would be bound to come. Imagine if SZA or Olivia Rodrigo would headline Coachella. The world would be erupted like in flames. So the festival itself is fine. Now, how does this affect Justin Bieber's legacy? That, I believe, is the real question. Prior headliners like Sabrina and Beyonce have received a unanimous positive response. Even smaller artists like Slater and Addison Rae were also positively received by the fans. The response to Justin Bieber, however, a major artist, is, on the other hand, way more controversial. To be honest, I think people are still going to go to his tours and stuff. If he does plan on going on one, because he's Justin Bieber, it's bound to be successful. He has cemented himself as a prevalent cultural fixture, the OG 2000s heartthrob that still remains relevant to this day. Coachella is a small stain on his legacy, but people are going to move on. Justin is actually quite lucky for managing to redeem himself in Weekend 2 because if he pulled the same shit as Weekend 1, I think the reaction would have been a lot worse from the audience. So where does this leave us? Justin Bieber walked into Coachella with the goodwill of the literal culture. Millions of people grew up with him, waiting in anticipation for his live comeback. Unfortunately, he failed to live up to the expectations in Weekend 1 due to all of the reasons I stated above. However, he did redeem himself in Weekend 2, which means that his capacity for live performance is still there. The way he made Billie Eilish short circuit, come on, who else is doing that? He's also survived child stardom in a predatory industry that put him through the ringer, so the fact that he is still standing on the stage is very impressive. But the bare minimum won't fly at Coachella. The people who went on payment plans and sold their firstborn to afford Coachella deserved to be there Weekend 2, point blank. Do I still have Bieber fever? Of course, like, who wouldn't? It's a terminal illness at this point with no cure in sight. But I believe that you can love someone and hold them accountable for a lackluster performance. Those two things can coexist. Justin Bieber still has it, Weekend 2 proved that, but does he still want to use it? That is a question that I think needs to be answered. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.